What the hell is going on in my stores? Michael Warner leaned back in his desk chair, rubbing his temples as his assistant laid down the latest customer complaint reports. 9 pizza stores. His father built them from the ground up, passed them to him 5 years ago. They'd grown fast, too fast maybe. Corporate systems got tighter, but customer satisfaction had slipped. Staff turnover was high. Quality control was slipping. He'd been hearing things for months, but now it was piling up. Store 6 had 3 refunds last weekend. Cold pizzas, late deliveries, and one driver didn't even show up, his assistant muttered. Manager said it was staffing issues again, but... Michael raised a hand. That's the 3rd time this month. I'm done with excuses. He stared at the map on his office wall, 9 red pins marking each location. Store 6 was in a college town. Late-night orders were their bread and butter. He hadn't set foot in it in over a year. The managers had changed twice. The latest one, Rick, sent in polished reports but never answered calls after hours. Michael stood. I want to see it with my own eyes, tonight. Sir. I'm going undercover, just for tonight. I'll place an order late, see how it's handled. No press, no cameras, just me. It wasn't a new idea. He'd done it once before, quietly. Wore a hoodie, shaved the beard. Nobody knew his face. The stores were corporate branded, with rotating managers and staff. Most employees had never met him in person. By 10 p.m., Michael had checked into a cheap motel 2 blocks from Store 6. He dressed down old jeans, weathered hoodie, baseball cap pulled low. He looked like any tired guy waiting up for a delivery. He waited until midnight, then dialed the store. Pizza, yeah, a bored voice answered. Yeah, large pepperoni, garlic crust, and a bottle of root beer if you've got it. Address. He gave the motel info. All right, might be a while, we're short tonight. He waited. 35 minutes passed, then 45, then a knock. Michael opened the door to see a young man, maybe 20, standing there with a pizza bag in one hand, soda in the other. His hoodie was soaked. It had started to drizzle outside. His name tag barely hung on. Hey, sorry for the wait. We're running with 2 drivers tonight. Michael nodded, watching him. You're good, man, not your fault. The kid smiled faintly. Still, thanks for being cool about it. He handed over the pizza and drink. I'm Ellie, by the way. Michael paid cash, tipped generously. You always work this late. Ellie shrugged. Usually not, but one guy called out last minute. We've been short 2 drivers for weeks. Manager not hiring. Ellie hesitated, then shook his head. He says the budget's tight and corporate's cutting hours, but it's not true. I know we're getting orders. He just doesn't want to deal with training new people. Michael narrowed his eyes. That happened a lot. Ellie gave a tired laugh. Man, you have no idea. Rick's never here after 10. He locks himself in the back office. Doesn't help. Doesn't clean. Half the time I mop the floor myself before I leave. Michael's stomach turned, but he kept his face neutral. Why do you stay? Because someone has to give a damn, Ellie said simply, and I need the job. Michael watched him walk back to his beat-up car, taillight cracked, exhaust pipe rattling. The rain had picked up now, and Ellie didn't have a jacket. Michael sat on the edge of the motel bed, staring at the pizza. He wasn't hungry anymore. He picked up his phone, stared at the screen, then made a decision. Tomorrow, he wasn't just going to watch from the sidelines. He was going in. Michael arrived at Store 6 just before 5 in the afternoon the next day, a full hour before the evening rush. He wore thick-rimmed glasses, dyed his beard with a touch of gray, and carried a padded food delivery bag he'd picked up from another branch's storage. The name tag on his chest read J. It was stitched in crooked letters, intentionally off-brand, just enough to make him look like a transfer from another region. The smell hit him before he stepped through the door, burnt cheese and bleach. The front counter was empty, no one at the register. A bell above the door rang, sharp and hollow. A voice called from the back, "Just a sec." Michael stepped inside, surveying the space. The floor hadn't been mopped since the night before. Dust clung to the corners. The soda fridge buzzed unevenly. A single ceiling tile sagged above the prep line. A lanky teenager emerged from the kitchen, apron tied over one shoulder, flour on both hands. He looked at Michael's tag, confused. "You're new." "Supposed to start today. Rick know I'm coming." "Guess he does now." The teen turned and shouted into the back. "Rick, new guy's here." No answer. The teen wiped his hands on his apron and leaned against the counter. "I'm Devin. I work register and make pies when it gets crazy. You good with deliveries?" "That's what I'm here for." Devin nodded. "Cool, you got your own car?" "Yes." Another pause. "You might not see Rick much," Devin said, lowering his voice. "He stays in the office mostly, doesn't talk unless he needs something." Michael didn't respond. A minute later, a man in his late 30s emerged from the hallway behind the kitchen. He was wearing a polo shirt with the store's logo, untucked, phone in hand. He didn't look up as he approached. "You the driver from Midtown?" Michael nodded. "Yes, got told to report here." Rick finally glanced at him. "Fine, grab the app code from the tablet and log in. You'll be using the silver Corolla. Keys are in the drawer, don't crash it." He turned and walked back without another word. Michael pulled up the delivery app, entered the store's code, and checked the vehicle log. The Corolla hadn't had an oil change in over 9 months. He made a mental note. By 6:30, orders started flooding in. Michael took his first run 4 pies to a student dorm. The GPS was glitchy, and the Corolla's brakes squealed at every stop. When he returned, Devin was wiping sauce off the prep counter, alone. "Where's everyone else?" Michael asked. Devin didn't look up. "You're looking at it." Michael stared at the empty kitchen. "You're the only one on prep." "Yep, was supposed to have Janelle, but she quit last week. Said she was tired of being yelled at." "By who?" Devin shrugged. "Take a guess." Michael turned, glancing toward the office door. "Rick yelled at her." "She showed up 10 minutes late during finals week. He made her clock out in front of a customer. Said she was dead weight. She cried, left, never came back." Michael walked to the back, pretending to grab napkins. The office door was half closed. Through the crack, he saw Rick on his phone, playing a video game. His feet were kicked up on a box of unopened sauce packets. Michael returned to the front. "How long you been here?" 4 months. I needed the hours, but I'm thinking of quitting too. I'm exhausted, man." Michael didn't reply. He grabbed the next delivery and left. By 8, the store was a mess. Michael had completed 6 deliveries, each one late. He passed Ali on the way back from his 7th run, same hoodie, same slow steps. Ali gave a nod. Didn't know they hired someone new. "Started today." "Rough first night." Michael gestured toward the lot. "That Corolla's held together with duct tape." Ali smiled faintly. "Yeah, I've been asking for maintenance since March." Inside, the phones were ringing off the hook. Devin was juggling 3 online tickets and trying to fold boxes. Rick hadn't come out once. Michael dropped the empty bag. "You need help." Devin handed him dough. "Can you sauce and cheese?" Michael nodded. "Let's move." They worked in rhythm for the next 20 minutes. Devin was fast but careless, clearly overwhelmed. Michael coached him quietly. "Use the bottom of your palm to press the crust edge," he said. "It'll rise more evenly." Devin blinked. "You've done this before." "Yes, a long time ago." At 9, Rick finally emerged. He looked around the kitchen, frowning. "Why are you making pies, Jay? you're a driver. We're behind, Devin needed help. Rick tossed a delivery ticket on the table. Not your job, get this out, now. Michael stared at the ticket. It had been printed 25 minutes ago. No one had even boxed it. He picked it up and turned to Devin. Which pie is this? Devin looked panicked. I didn't get to it yet. Rick threw his hands up. God, what are you even doing back here then? Devin froze. Michael stepped between them. Don't talk to him like that. Rick squared up. Excuse me. You heard me. Rick laughed. You're a temp driver. You don't give instructions. You don't get opinions. Michael took a step closer. And you don't get to berate a kid who's been holding this store together while you sit on your ass. Rick's face twisted. You want to join him? Fine, clock out. Michael's voice dropped. You really want to do this? Rick didn't answer. Michael reached into his back pocket and pulled out his ID, the one with his real name, laminated with the company seal. He held it up between them. I'm not Jay, he said. I'm Michael Warner. I own this store. The kitchen went silent. Devin stepped back, eyes wide. Illy, who just walked in behind them, stopped mid-step. Rick blinked, then scoffed. No, you're not. Michael turned to Devin. Call the regional line, ask for confirmation. Devin didn't move. Michael looked back at Rick. This store has been running on fumes. You've been cutting corners, ignoring basic protocol, and harassing employees. That ends tonight. Rick's expression shifted from disbelief to fury. You can't just walk in here and... You're done, Michael said. Effective immediately. Leave. Rick looked around, but no one spoke for him. Even Illy looked away. Rick muttered something under his breath, stormed into the office, grabbed his jacket, and walked out without another word. Michael turned to Devin. Clock out, go home, you've done more than enough. What about the orders? Michael nodded toward the prep table. I'll handle it. Illy, you staying? Illy nodded. Yes. Good, let's knock these out. The two of them worked side by side for the next hour, filling late orders, apologizing to customers at the door. It wasn't perfect, but the energy shifted. There was no yelling, no tension, just quiet focus. At midnight, the last box slid into the warming oven. Michael stretched his back, wiping sweat from his brow. Illy leaned against the counter. So, what now? Michael glanced around the store. Now, fix what I ignored for too long. He met Illy's eyes. And I make sure people like you don't get left behind again. Michael returned to store 6 the next morning, wearing his real face. No hoodie, no disguise, just a plain button-down, and his company badge clipped clearly to his belt. The same driver who had unknowingly delivered to him the night before Illy was already there, sorting through a tangled stack of receipts near the front register. He glanced up, eyes lingering just a second longer than usual. You really meant it, Illy said. Michael nodded. I don't show up unless I'm serious. From the back, Devin appeared, hair still damp from a quick shower. He must have gone home, slept maybe 3 hours, and come straight back in. He slowed when he saw Michael, stopping just short of the prep line. I wasn't sure if I'd still have a job today, Devin said carefully. You do, Michael said. And more than that, you're going to get the support you've been missing. Devin looked relieved, but he didn't smile. Not fully. He glanced at the empty doorway behind Michael. Is Rick really gone? Permanently, Michael said. His keys and codes were deactivated this morning. Regional HR will handle the paperwork. He motioned for them to follow him into the dining area, where he pulled 3 chairs into a circle. A 4th employee, short, Latina, maybe early 20s, watched from behind the soda machine. She looked hesitant, unsure if she should approach. Michael waved her over gently. "You're welcome to sit in. My name's Michael Warner. Own this company." Her eyes widened. "I'm Vanessa. I do mornings. Didn't know the owner actually came to stores." "I should have been here sooner. That's on me." They sat together, 4 employees who had carried the store through chaos, and a man who now had to earn back their trust. "I'm not here to make speeches," Michael started. "I'm here to listen. I need to know what's really been going on, not just the worst of it everything." Vanessa shifted in her seat. "We stopped getting proper stock 2 weeks ago. Rick said it was a supplier issue, but I saw the delivery slips. He was cutting the order count." "Why?" Michael asked. "No idea, but we've been running out of dough before close." Illy leaned forward. "He also stopped approving overtime. So if we stayed past our shifts to help, he'd tell us to clock out early the next day, or he'd adjust it himself." Michael's jaw tightened, but he said nothing yet. Devin added, "Health inspector came by last month. Rick told me to stall him while he wiped down the sinks. He'd left raw sausage out overnight in back stock." Michael's stomach turned. "Did you report it?" "I tried, called the district line. Got a voicemail, never heard back." Michael made a note on his phone. "That line will be rerouted to my office starting today." Vanessa spoke next. "He used to call me princess when asked for help lifting heavy boxes, said I was being soft." Michael looked up. "Did he ever touch anyone?" "No, but he'd stand too close sometimes, especially if the store was empty." Michael didn't hesitate. "I'm reporting that to legal. He should have never passed our background screening. I'll look into how he got through." They sat in silence for a moment. "I want this store to be something we're proud of again," Michael said finally, "but it's going to take time. I can't fix everything overnight. What it can do is start." He stood. "We're closed today, corporate sending in a deep clean team. Fresh stock arrives by noon. Tomorrow, we start fresh with a new interim manager." He looked at Illy. "You've been here how long?" "Nearly 11 months. Michael nodded. "You know this place better than anyone. Can you hold the keys for now? Just until we find someone permanent." Illy blinked. "Me." "You've earned it, and I trust you to be honest with me." Illy didn't answer right away. Finally, he stood. "I'll do what I can, but I'm not going to pretend I know how to manage a team." "You don't have to pretend, just be fair, and ask for help when you need it." Michael turned to Vanessa and Devin. "You'll have real schedules again, paid breaks, no more threats, no more cutting corners. And if any of you ever feel unsafe or disrespected, you call me directly." He wrote his personal number on the whiteboard behind the counter. After the cleaning crew arrived, Michael stepped out to call his operations director, laying out every single violation he'd witnessed. He didn't sugarcoat anything he couldn't afford to. By late afternoon, the store looked different. Not perfect, but different. Floors scrubbed, counters polished. The sagging ceiling tile was replaced. A fresh crate of dough stood in the walk-in cooler. Illy stayed behind, walking the store with a clipboard, checking inventory. He moved with hesitant authority, pausing often, still unsure if this was all real. Michael found him near the sauce station, adjusting the temperature gauge on a prep fridge. "Can I ask you something?" Illy said without turning. "Of course." "Why didn't you just send someone else to handle this? You're the owner. You've got people for that." Michael leaned against the wall. "Because people kept telling me things were fine. That numbers were solid. That turnover was normal. And I wanted to believe them because it was easier than facing the fact that I'd lost touch." Illy looked over, so it took pretending to be a driver to see it. "It took watching someone mop the floor at 2 in the morning while his manager played games in the back office," Michael said. Illy set the clipboard down. "I wasn't trying to be a hero. I just didn't want it to be worse for the next guy." "That's exactly why you're the right person to lead this team." Michael stayed until the last of the cleaning crew left. As the sun dipped low and the storefront lights flickered on, he stood outside the building, staring up at the faded signage. Tomorrow they would open, with half a crew and a long road ahead, but with honesty and without fear. He turned, heading to his car. For the first time in a long while, he felt like he'd actually done something worth doing. The next morning, a cautious quiet settled over Store 6 as the new day began. It wasn't nerves, they'd had plenty of those. This was something different. The place felt unburdened, not fixed, not yet, but lighter, like the air had finally cleared. Michael arrived early, dressed in the same plain clothes as the day before, but this time with a clipboard in hand and a quiet focus in his eyes. He didn't go to the office. Instead, he stood at the prep line alongside Vanessa, watching how she organized the toppings tray by color and weight, keeping everything uniform. "You do this every morning?" he asked, studying her work. Vanessa nodded without stopping. "If I don't, it takes twice as long to get orders out. I'd rather do it right once than fix it later." Michael didn't say anything. He didn't need to. He just watched the way she moved, efficient but careful, and made a note to add her to the next round of internal training candidates. Behind them, Illy unlocked the front door, letting in Devin, who had a fresh bandage on his knuckle and a box of folded uniforms under one arm. He handed them out without a word, just a quick nod toward the back room. "New shirts," he said. "Figured the old ones didn't feel right anymore." Vanessa raised an eyebrow. "You paid for these?" "Yeah," Devin said. "I had some tips saved." Michael stepped in. "You shouldn't be spending your own money on this." Devin shrugged. "Didn't feel right waiting around. Figured we'd look like a team if we dressed like one." Michael didn't argue. But when Devin turned around, he added a task to his mental list: reimburse the kid before the end of the day. At 10 sharp, they opened. The first few hours ran smooth. Not fast, there were still gaps in the crew, but steady. Orders came in at a manageable pace. Illy handled the front, Vanessa worked the ovens, Devin floated where needed. By noon, 2 more team members arrived. Both were from nearby stores, temporarily reassigned from slower branches until Store 6 could rebuild its own staff. One was a quiet guy named Isaiah, who moved with the calm of someone twice his age. The other, a woman named Tasha, had a sharp wit and a pace that left no room for hesitation. "You ever worked this line before?" Vanessa asked, handing Tasha a tray of dough. Tasha snorted. "I ran 3 stations during homecoming weekend at Store 3. This is a nap." Michael watched from the side, arms crossed. He didn't step in. He didn't have to. For the first time in a long while, the kitchen ran like a kitchen, not a battlefield. Just after 1, a woman walked in with a clipboard and a badge clipped to her jacket. She had the posture of someone used to being ignored and the eyes of someone who noticed everything. Health inspector. Michael met her at the counter before anyone else could flinch. "You're here for an unannounced walkthrough." She nodded. Routine check. Got flagged for a surprise visit after a complaint last month. "I'm aware," Michael said. "You'll find the store under new management. I'm the owner." The inspector blinked, surprised, but didn't ask questions. She walked through calmly, checking thermometers, watching hand-washing, opening drawers. She asked Tasha about food temps, Illy about delivery logs. Every answer was steady, confident. After 20 minutes, she signed the bottom of her sheet and handed it to Michael. "Clean," she said. "No violations, not even minor ones." Michael accepted the paper, folded it carefully. "Thank you for coming." She paused at the door. "This store didn't used to be like this." "I know." She nodded once and left without another word. By late afternoon, the orders started to climb. A local high school had placed a bulk order 12 large pizzas, all customized. Normally, a nightmare, but today it brought a strange kind of energy to the crew. People moved faster, but not frantic. Focused. Isaiah called out the first 5 pies. Vanessa and Tasha built them in sync, handing them down the line like clockwork. Devin boxed. Illy ran the counter and kept the customers calm. Michael stayed back, observing, letting the system breathe. When the order was complete, the driver pulled out on time, hot food, clean service. No one said anything, but a ripple of relief moved through the store. At 5, Michael pulled Illy aside while the others restocked. "You've got something here," he said. "It's not just about getting the kitchen moving again. It's about building something people want to be part of." Illy leaned against the counter, arms crossed, still wearing his delivery apron. "What happens when I mess up, when I don't know what to do?" "You'll ask, you'll learn. That's what leaders do." Illy didn't answer right away. Then he nodded, slow and deliberate. "Can I pick my assistant?" he asked. "Someone to help when it gets too much." "Of course." "I want Vanessa." Michael raised an eyebrow. "Any reason?" "She's organized, doesn't panic, and she notices things before they go wrong." Michael turned, watching Vanessa restocking the cheese bins with exact measurements. "Approved," he said. "Tell her tonight." As the evening rush approached, Michael gathered the team in the back. All 6 of them stood in a loose circle, sweaty, tired, but alert. "I'm not going to give you a speech," he said. "You've already done the hard part. You stayed when it was easier to walk out. You fixed what someone else broke. You turned a sinking store into something worth showing up for." He looked around the room. "You'll get raises, not promises, documents, signed by me. They'll go into effect starting next pay cycle, and I'll make sure this store gets every tool it needs to grow." No one said anything. Not because they didn't believe him, but because they were still adjusting to being believed. After they returned to the kitchen, Michael walked out into the empty dining area. He sat alone for the first time that day, staring at the register. The store wasn't perfect. It still needed more staff. The bathrooms still needed tile upgrades. And the delivery car, the one with the squeaky brakes, was getting replaced next week. But the difference now was this: people cared. Not because they were told to, but because they had a reason to. He stood, stretched his back, and grabbed a mop from the closet. The floor wasn't dirty, not really, but he knew that if he mopped it now, someone would notice. And maybe next week they'd do the same. As he cleaned, the door opened. A customer stepped in, a young woman, earphones in, backpack slung low. "Hey," she said, "you guys still open?" Michael smiled. "Yeah, we are."